Hello everyone, wishing you all good health and peace in life. Life often tests us in the most unexpected moments when strength is broken and hope feels fragile. After the fateful fall from the roof, will Dee have enough strength to stand up and protect Huyen and Maya? The pain is heavy, the road ahead uncertain, yet love has a way of giving power, even when the body is weak. This is not just a story of falling, it is a story of rising, of courage, and of a man's unshakable promise to the two people who mean the world to him. The sound of breaking bamboo echoed in the quiet afternoon, followed by a heavy thud. Dust rose, and silence lingered for a moment before the cries of Maya pierced the air. Dee lay on the ground, his body trembling, pain shooting through him like fire. The fall from the roof was sudden, cruel, and merciless. Huyen rushed to his side, her hands shaking, her eyes filled with terror as she called his name again and again. It was not just his body that lay broken on the ground, it was their fragile dream of a home, built with love and endless sacrifice. Yet even in pain, Dee tried to rise, his lips whispering softly, "Don't be afraid. I'm still here." His voice was weak, but it carried the weight of his promise. That day tested more than Dee's strength. It tested the bond of their little family. Huyen's tears fell as she wrapped her arms around him, her heart torn between fear and hope. Maya clung to her mother's dress, her innocent eyes watching the man she loved as a father fight against his pain. Dee's fall was not the end. It was a reminder of how fragile life is, but also how powerful love can be. Bruised and battered, he struggled to stand, leaning on Huyen's shoulder. He knew he had no right to give in to weakness, not when two souls depended on him. In the days that followed, the house stood unfinished, bamboo poles swaying slightly in the wind, like their uncertain future. But every evening, as Huyen cared for his wounds and Maya sang softly beside them, Dee's spirit grew stronger. He realized that his true strength was not in his hands or body, but in his heart, the courage to keep standing for those he loved most.
Every new dawn after the accident became a quiet battle for Dee. His body ached, his legs faltered, yet he refused to let despair linger. With Huyen by his side, he forced himself to sit up, to take a few steps, and to endure the weight of pain as if each step was a silent vow. Huyen's hands never left his. She guided him, whispered encouragement, and when exhaustion overwhelmed him, she wiped away the sweat from his brow with tender care. "You are not alone," she said softly one night as the cicadas sang outside. Her words sank deep into Dee's heart.
Maya, in her innocence, became the light that eased the heavy days. She would run to Dee with small flowers she picked in the yard, placing them gently into his calloused hands. "When you get better, we'll plant these together," she said with a bright smile. That smile, fragile yet full of faith, gave him strength no medicine could provide. As the weeks passed, Dee's wounds began to heal, not only his body but also the invisible scars of hardship. He returned to the unfinished bamboo house, this time not with reckless strength but with patience and quiet determination. Huyen stayed close, handing him tools, while Maya hummed nearby. Each beam lifted, each knot tied, became more than construction, it was a symbol of their resilience. The house rose slowly, but so did Dee's spirit. The fall had humbled him, but it had also awakened something deeper, the certainty that love could make him stand taller than before. and though his body still carried the marks of pain, his heart carried a greater truth. He would never allow himself to fall again in spirit, not while Huyen and Maya needed him. The house was no longer just a shelter. It was a promise that no storm, no accident, no cruel twist of fate could destroy the family they were building together. One golden morning, the sound of hammers and laughter echoed through the little yard. The bamboo house, once just a dream half broken by Dee's fall, now stood nearly complete. Its walls glowed warmly under the rising sun, and the roof caught the breeze like the wings of a bird ready to take flight. Dee wiped the sweat from his brow and looked at his hands, rough, scarred, but steady again. He had endured the pain, the fear, and the weakness, but he had not surrendered. Every strike of the hammer felt like reclaiming his strength, piece by piece. Huyen stood nearby, holding a basket of freshly washed clothes, watching him with quiet pride. There was no need for words. Her eyes told him everything: gratitude, love, and unspoken admiration for the man who had chosen to rise again for their little family. Maya danced barefoot across the dusty ground, her laughter ringing like bells. She ran up to Dee and hugged his leg tightly. "Daddy, you're strong again," she said with innocent certainty. Her voice was the truest reward, more precious than anything he could ever build. When the last beam was placed, Dee, Huyen, and Maya stood together in front of their home. The house wasn't grand, but it was alive with the warmth of sacrifice and hope. They opened the door for the first time, stepping into the little room that smelled of bamboo, earth, and dreams. That night, as the crickets sang outside and the stars blinked gently above, Dee lay awake, listening to the soft breathing of Huyen and Maya beside him. The fall had once threatened to take everything away, but now he realized it had given him something greater. It had shown him the strength of love, the beauty of resilience, and the truth that a man does not stand tall because he never falls, but because he rises again, holding the hands of those he loves. The next morning, the family woke to the sound of footsteps outside their little bamboo house. It was unusual. No one usually came so early. Dee stepped out, still barefoot, and found an old man standing at the gate with a bundle of tools on his shoulder. His eyes were kind but carried the weight of many years. "I heard about your fall," the man said softly, "and I heard how you stood up again. I thought maybe you could use an extra pair of hands." Dee hesitated for a moment, then smiled. Pride often told him to refuse help, but he had learned through pain that no one survives alone. He nodded and invited the man in. Huyen quickly poured him a cup of warm tea, and Maya, curious as ever, asked the stranger 1,000 little questions. As the day went on, the old man worked beside Dee, showing him techniques for strengthening the bamboo beams and weaving sturdier walls. Together, they repaired small flaws that Dee's weakened body had overlooked. Huyen watched quietly, her heart warmed by the sight of community forming around them. But as the sun dipped low, the old man placed a hand on Dee's shoulder and spoke with a seriousness that silenced the yard. "Strength is not just in your arms, son. It is in knowing when to protect, when to endure, and when to seek help. You've built more than a house. You've built a foundation for your family's future. Guard it well, for life has many storms yet to come." That night, Dee repeated those words in his mind as he looked at Huyen and Maya. Their home was no longer just a shelter, it was a promise. A promise that no matter what storms might come, he would rise again, not just for himself, but for them. Life has a way of testing us in the moments we least expect. Dee's fall was not just a physical accident, it was a reminder that strength is fragile, and that even the strongest among us can stumble. Yet what truly matters is not the fall itself, but the courage to rise again. In Dee's story, we see that love is the greatest source of resilience. His determination to stand up for Huyen and Maya gave him a reason to endure pain and fight against despair. Even when his body was weak, his heart was strong, because it carried the weight of responsibility and love. This reminds us that strength does not only come from muscles or health. It is born from the purpose we carry within us. Another lesson lies in humility. Dee accepted help from others, realizing that true strength is not in doing everything alone, but in allowing kindness to enter. Community, compassion, and shared hands can rebuild what one person cannot. His home became stronger not because of his effort alone, but because love and support surrounded it. From this story, we learn that every fall is an invitation to rise wiser. Every hardship is a chance to deepen our gratitude and to recognize the people who walk beside us. In the end, a home is not built of bamboo or stone, it is built of sacrifice, courage, and love. Life often teaches us in silence. The pain of falling and the struggle to stand again reveal the depth of human endurance. Dee's journey reminds us that sometimes our greatest victories are not seen by the world, they happen quietly, inside our hearts, when we decide not to give up. For Huyen and Maya, Dee's resilience became a shield. His love gave them safety, hope, and a sense of belonging. This shows us that our actions, even when unnoticed, can shape the lives of those we love most. To protect, to endure, to rise again, these are silent sacrifices that build the foundation of a family. We must also remember that hardship is never meaningless. Every scar, every tear, and every sleepless night adds to the story of who we are becoming. Dee's fall, though painful, became the moment that tested and proved his devotion. It turned weakness into wisdom and suffering into strength. Ultimately, life is not about avoiding storms, but about learning to walk through them with dignity. It is about believing that love is worth every struggle. When we rise after falling, we not only lift ourselves, we lift everyone who depends on us. And that is the true beauty of resilience.